The Force had existed for millennia, an invisible current binding every living thing across the galaxy, until the moment something foreign punched through reality itself. High above Coruscant's glittering cityscape, space fractured. Not the clean, calculated tear of a ship exiting hyperspace, but a violent, spiraling wound that blazed with energy the color of burning sunlight. Sensors across the planet screamed warnings. Jedi in the temple felt it, a disturbance that tasted wrong, like lightning striking backward through time. From that impossible rift fell a young man, unconscious, wrapped in a shroud of golden chakra that flickered and died as he plummeted toward the city planet below. Naruto Uzumaki's last conscious thought had been of home. He'd been fighting in the remnant dimension, pushing back against the lingering corruption of Kaguya's chakra with Sasuke at his side, when the space between dimensions simply gave way. The Sage of Six Paths power within him had resonated with something vast and ancient, something that felt like chakra but moved like an ocean instead of a river. Then came the pull, irresistible as gravity, and the world inverted. Now he was falling. The transition had ravaged his chakra system. Kurama's voice echoed distantly in his mind, the Nine-Tails consciousness struggling to stabilize across whatever boundary they'd just crossed. Naruto's body plummeted through Coruscant's atmosphere, the friction igniting the residual chakra around him into a meteor's tail. Traffic lanes scattered as the burning figure descended, and then, impact. He crashed through the transparent dome of a Senate District plaza, cratered into the Duracrete, and lay still. Within minutes, the scene swarmed with Republic security, medical droids, and curious onlookers. Within the hour, the Jedi Council had been notified. Within 2 hours, Jedi Knights Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker stood at the edge of the crater, staring down at the unconscious young man in the strange orange and black jumpsuit. "I don't sense him in the Force," Obi-Wan said quietly, his hand resting on his lightsaber hilt. "At all. It's as if he doesn't exist." Anakin frowned, crouching at the crater's edge. "But he's alive. I can see him breathing. How can something be alive and not be in the Force?" He reached out with his considerable power, trying to touch the stranger's presence, and found nothing. A void. An absence that made his skin crawl. Yet somehow beneath that absence, Anakin sensed something. Not the Force, but an energy that pulsed with its own rhythm, foreign and wild. "Look at his hand," Obi-Wan observed. Naruto's right palm bore marks, faint scars that glowed with residual energy. Some kind of energy manipulation, perhaps a weapon. Before Anakin could respond, Naruto's eyes snapped open. Blue eyes, impossibly blue, like the sky of a world that had never known city lights, locked onto Anakin's face. Confusion and pain swirled in those eyes, followed by the sharp clarity of a warrior assessing a threat. Naruto's hand moved in a blur, forming symbols Anakin didn't recognize, and suddenly the crater erupted with white smoke. When it cleared, 50 identical copies of the orange-clad stranger surrounded the two Jedi. "Where am I?" all 50 voices demanded in unison, speaking galactic basic with an accent neither Jedi had ever heard. "What did you do to Kurama? Who are you people?" Anakin's lightsaber ignited in a snap hiss of blue plasma. Obi-Wan followed a heartbeat later. They stood back to back as the clones circled them, each one radiating tension and confusion rather than hostility, but clearly ready to fight. "We mean you no harm," Obi-Wan called out, his voice diplomatic despite the weapon in his hand. "You crashed in the Senate District. We're Jedi Knights here to help." "Jedi?" One of the Narutos tilted his head. "Never heard of you. This doesn't look like the Leaf Village. This doesn't look like anywhere in the 5 great nations." His eyes widened as he looked past the Jedi, taking in the impossible cityscape that stretched to the horizon in every direction. Buildings that pierced the clouds, vehicles flying through the air in ordered lanes, a city that made even the hidden leaf look like a frontier outpost. What is this place?" "Coruscant," Anakin said carefully, not lowering his lightsaber. "Capital of the Galactic Republic. You're a long way from wherever the 5 great nations are. What's your name?" The clones looked at each other, and Anakin realized with a start that they were communicating somehow, sharing information silently. Then, as one, they dispelled in clouds of smoke, all except the original, who stumbled as their memories and experiences flooded back into him. He caught himself, breathing hard, and when he looked up at the Jedi again, there was something different in his eyes. Understanding, maybe, or the beginning of it. "My name's Naruto Uzumaki," he said, his voice quieter now but still carrying absolute confidence. "And I think I'm really, really far from home." Kurama's voice finally broke through clearly in his mind. "Kid, I don't know where we are, but the energy here is everywhere, like the natural energy you use for Sage Mode, but different. Older. It's in everything, including these two sword guys staring at you." Naruto straightened, ignoring the ache in his muscles and the strange way his chakra felt sluggish, like moving through water. "You said you're here to help. Then help me understand. What's a galactic republic? What's a Coruscant? And," he glanced at their lightsabers with obvious curiosity, "what are those glowing swords?" Obi-Wan and Anakin exchanged glances. Then, slowly, they deactivated their lightsabers. "Perhaps," Obi-Wan said with a slight smile, "we should start this conversation somewhere other than a crater in the middle of a public plaza. The Jedi Temple isn't far. Master Yoda will want to meet you." "Master Yoda," Naruto's stomach growled audibly and he grinned sheepishly. "Any chance this temple place has food? Because I don't know how long I've been falling through. Whatever I fell through, but I'm starving." Anakin couldn't help but laugh. "You just created 50 copies of yourself, crashed through a dome from orbit, and the first thing you're worried about is food." "Well, yeah," Naruto said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "Can't save the day on an empty stomach, you know." As they walked toward the speeder that would take them to the Jedi Temple, Naruto kept stopping to stare at everything. The endless city, the alien species walking the streets, the ships flying overhead in perfect formation. Each sight seemed to hit him with fresh wonder and confusion. Obi-Wan found himself watching the young man carefully. There was something pure about his reactions, genuine. In a galaxy cynical with war and politics, Naruto's open amazement felt almost alien in itself. "Tell me," Obi-Wan said as they boarded the speeder, "these 5 great nations you mentioned, are you a soldier?" Naruto's expression darkened slightly. "I'm a shinobi, a ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village. We protect our people, complete missions, and—" He hesitated. "Yeah, we fight wars sometimes, but I don't want to fight anymore. I've seen what it costs. I just want everyone to understand each other, you know, to stop the cycle of hatred." Anakin, piloting the speeder, glanced back. "That's surprisingly idealistic for a soldier." "Maybe," Naruto said, meeting his eyes, "but I've never given up on anything in my life, and I'm not gonna start now, even if I'm in some crazy place with flying cars and laser swords." He paused. "Wait, are those laser swords? Because that's actually really cool." "Lightsabers," Anakin corrected, grinning. "And yes, they're very cool." As the speeder lifted into the traffic lanes and began weaving through Coruscant's vertical cityscape toward the Jedi Temple, Naruto pressed his face against the viewport like a child watching the impossible city flow past. Behind his wonder, his mind raced. Kurama was agitated. His chakra reserves felt strange and sluggish, and he had absolutely no idea how to get home. But he was alive. He wasn't alone, and these Jedi seemed like decent people. For now, that would have to be enough. In the Jedi Temple, Master Yoda suddenly opened his eyes from meditation, his ancient face creasing with concern. "Arrived, something has," he murmured to the empty council chamber. "Neither light nor dark, neither here nor there. Difficult to see, the future has become." The Force itself seemed to hold its breath. And across the galaxy, in a secret location on Coruscant, Darth Sidious felt it too, the disturbance, the wrongness, the variable he had not foreseen. His carefully laid plans, years in the making, suddenly faced an element of chaos. His yellow eyes narrowed behind the mask of Chancellor Palpatine. Interesting, he whispered to the darkness. Most interesting indeed. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The speeder carrying one Naruto Uzumaki docked at the Jedi Temple landing pad, and the Force rippled with possibility. The galaxy would never be quite the same. The Jedi Temple rose above Coruscant like a mountain of ancient stone and modern technology, its 5 spires piercing the sky as monuments to millennia of tradition. Naruto craned his neck as they walked through corridors lined with statues of long-dead Jedi Masters, his footsteps echoing on polished floors that had seen countless generations of Force users walk this same path. The place felt sacred, like the memorial stones back in the Leaf Village, but also strangely cold. Too clean. Too quiet. "Where is everyone?" Naruto asked, nodding the sparse traffic of robed figures moving through the halls. "I thought this was your headquarters." "Many Jedi are deployed across the galaxy," Obi-Wan explained as they approached a massive circular chamber. "The Clone Wars have stretched our order thin. Most Masters are leading Republic forces against the Separatist Alliance." "Clone Wars?" Naruto frowned. "You're fighting clones." "Fighting with clones," Anakin corrected. "The Republic's army, their soldiers bred specifically for combat." He caught Naruto's disturbed expression. "It's complicated." Before Naruto could ask more, the doors opened to reveal the Jedi Council chamber. 12 seats were arranged in a circle, though only 7 were currently occupied. Some were present in holographic form, blue-tinted projections flickering from distant star systems. But the being that immediately captured Naruto's attention was the small, ancient creature sitting directly across from the entrance. Master Yoda looked exactly like the kind of wise old sage Naruto had met before, Jiraiya, the third Hokage, even Hagoromo himself, but condensed into a 2-foot-tall package with pointed ears and eyes that held centuries of knowledge. Those eyes studied Naruto with an intensity that made him feel like every secret he'd ever kept was being gently examined and catalogued. "Naruto Uzumaki," Yoda said, his voice gravelly with age but sharp with interest. "Fallen from the sky you have, yet since you in the Force we cannot. Explain this, can you?" Naruto stepped forward, aware of every Jedi's attention focused on him. He'd faced down Akatsuki members, tailed beasts, and even gods from other dimensions, but something about this council chamber made him want to prove himself, to show he wasn't a threat. "I don't know what the Force is," Naruto said honestly, "but I use Chakra. It's energy that comes from combining physical and spiritual power. I can create solid clones." He formed the hand seal and spawned 3 duplicates for demonstration, earning surprised looks from several council members. "And I can channel it for different techniques." One of the clones formed a Rasengan in its palm. The spiraling sphere of blue chakra whirled with contained violence, casting dancing shadows across the chamber. Jedi Master Mace Windu leaned forward, his dark eyes narrowing. "That energy," Windu said slowly, "it's not the Force, but it's not technology either. It's something organic, alive." "Yeah," Naruto confirmed, dismissing the clones. "Chakra flows through everyone in my world. Shinobi learned to control it, use it for jutsu techniques. I've trained my whole life to master it." He hesitated, then added, "I also have a friend inside me, a tailed beast called Kurama. He's basically a giant fox made of chakra, sealed inside my body when I was born." The council chamber went very quiet. "A creature sealed within you," the hologram of Ki-Adi-Mundi flickered. "That sounds like Sith alchemy, possession." "It's not like that," Naruto protested. "Kurama and I are partners now. He saved my life more times than I can count. At first, yeah, it was rough. He hated humans, I was scared of his power, but we learned to understand each other, to work together." "These people are uptight," Kurama rumbled in his mind. "They've got power running through everything here, but they're afraid of it. I can feel it." Yoda's ears twitched. Interesting this is, a being of pure energy living in symbiosis with you. In balance are you, or does this creature seek to control you? We're in balance, Naruto said firmly. I can prove it. He closed his eyes and reached for Kurama's chakra. The familiar warmth flooded through him, and when he opened his eyes again, they'd shifted to vertical slitted pupils. A golden aura flickered around his body, not quite the full Nine-Tails chakra mode, not with his reserves still adjusting to this strange galaxy, but enough to demonstrate the connection. Every Jedi in the chamber reacted. Some reached for their lightsabers, others simply stared, but Master Yoda smiled. Fear him you do not, Yoda observed. Trust him you do, and trust you he does. Like the Force, this is symbiosis, balance, yet different paths you walk. The golden aura faded as Naruto released the chakra. Look, I don't know how I got here or how to get home, but I'm not your enemy. I protect people, that's what shinobi do. If there's a war happening, if people are dying, then maybe I can help until I figure out how to return to my world. Help the Republic you wish to? Yoda asked. I wish to help people who need it, Naruto corrected. I don't know anything about your Republic or these separatists yet. In my world, I learned the hard way that wars aren't simple, that enemies aren't always evil. Sometimes they're just people with pain who have been pushed too far. His eyes found Anakin's. I want to understand the whole situation before I pick a side. Mace Windu's expression hardened. The separatists have killed billions. They use droid armies to terrorize innocent worlds. There's no moral ambiguity here. Maybe, Naruto said carefully, but I've heard that before. The Hidden Rain Village said the same thing about the leaf. The Akatsuki said it about the 5 great nations. Everyone thinks they're the good guys. He took a breath. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I want to see for myself before I decide. The council exchanged glances. Several looked offended. Others appeared thoughtful. Anakin, Naruto noticed, was nodding slightly. Wise your caution is, Yoda said finally. But need you the galaxy does. Power like yours rare it is. Train with the Jedi you could, learn our ways, then decide you may. I appreciate that, Naruto said. But I'm not looking to become a Jedi. I'm already a ninja. I've got my own path, my own way of doing things. He grinned. Though I wouldn't mind learning about this Force stuff, and maybe how those lightsabers work. Those are seriously cool. Anakin laughed outright, before catching himself under Windu's disapproving glare. Your power, Obi-Wan interjected diplomatically, could turn the tide of battles, save countless lives. Would you at least consider accompanying a mission? See the war firsthand before making your judgment. Naruto considered this. Kurama's presence stirred in his mind, wary but not hostile. His chakra reserves were slowly recovering, acclimating to whatever made this galaxy's energy feel different. He was stranded in an alien universe, surrounded by warriors who used some kind of mystical power he couldn't sense, in the middle of a galactic civil war. In other words, a typical Tuesday. All right, he agreed. I'll go on a mission, see what this war looks like up close, but I'm not promising to fight for anyone yet. And if I think something's wrong, I'm gonna speak up, whether you like it or not. Outspoken he is, Yoda chuckled. Remind me of someone he does. His ancient eyes shifted to Anakin, who suddenly found the floor very interesting. Master Plo Koon's hologram spoke up, his masked face regarding Naruto with curiosity. There is another matter. Your arrival created a disturbance we've never encountered. The Force itself seemed to bend around you. Whatever energy you carry, it's affecting the cosmic balance. The Council must understand this phenomenon. I can try to explain chakra, Naruto offered. Back home, we've got teachers and scrolls and, he paused. Actually, I don't know if that stuff would even work here. My jutsu feels weird, slower, like I'm fighting underwater. The Force may be interfering, Obi-Wan suggested. Your internal energy system is encountering an external energy field. Your body might need time to adjust. Or these midichlorians they keep thinking about are messing with your chakra coils, Kurama growled. I can feel them, Naruto. Tiny living things in every cell of every being here. They're trying to connect to your chakra network. Can they hurt me? Naruto asked aloud, then realized he'd spoken out loud to Kurama. The council stared at him. The beast, Yoda said softly, speaking to you is it? Kurama says there are tiny living things in everything here, midichlorians. He says they're trying to connect to my chakra. Naruto frowned. Is that normal? The council erupted in murmured conversation. Anakin stepped closer to Naruto. Midichlorians are how we connect to the Force. They exist in all living cells. The more you have, the stronger your connection to the Force, but I've never heard of them trying to connect to anything. They just are. Perhaps, Obi-Wan mused. His chakra system is similar enough to the Force that the midichlorians recognize it as compatible. Given time, he might develop Force sensitivity. Or blow up trying, Mace Windu said grimly. We're discussing the fundamental nature of life itself. This isn't something to experiment with. I'm not looking to experiment, Naruto said firmly. I just want to understand what's happening to me. And yeah, help people if I can. That's always been my way. Yoda thumped his Geimer stick on the floor. Decided it is. Accompany Skywalker and Kenobi you will, to the outer rim siege of Ryloth. See the war you shall. Then return and speak we will of your place in this galaxy. Ryloth? Anakin perked up. Master, the assault on Ryloth isn't for another 3 days. We're still assembling the fleet. Time enough, that is, to teach our guests basic knowledge. Ships, weapons, how things work here. Yoda's eyes twinkled. And perhaps teach us about chakra he can. Exchange of knowledge, yes, understanding through sharing. Naruto bowed, copying the formal gesture he'd seen the Jedi use. Thank you, Master Yoda. I won't let you down. Let us down you will not, Yoda agreed. Yourself do not let down, that is what matters. As the council dismissed them, Naruto followed Obi-Wan and Anakin from the chamber. Once in the hallway, Anakin clapped him on the shoulder. That went better than I expected, the young Jedi Knight said. Usually, when someone tells the council they won't follow orders, Mace threatens to throw them in a cell. I didn't say I wouldn't follow orders, Naruto corrected. I said I'd speak up if something felt wrong. There's a difference. Obi-Wan stroked his beard thoughtfully. You're not Force-sensitive, yet you read the room's dynamics perfectly. You're a soldier, yet you question authority when your principles are challenged. You're powerful, yet you defer to wisdom. He smiled. You're going to be an interesting addition to this mission, Naruto Uzumaki. Just Naruto's fine, he said. And speaking of this mission, what's Ryloth? What are we doing there? Anakin's expression darkened. The Separatists are occupying it, enslaving the population. We're going to liberate it. Enslavement, Naruto's eyes hardened. Then yeah, I'll definitely help with that. Nobody deserves to be chained. As they walked through the temple, discussing the mission and the state of the galaxy, none of them noticed the small probe droid observing from a ventilation shaft. Its recordings were already being transmitted across encrypted channels to a shadowy figure in the Senate building. Darth Sidious watched the footage of Naruto's demonstration before the council. The chakra, the clones, the beast within, an unknown variable with power that existed outside the Force itself. This could be useful or dangerous, perhaps both. Investigate him, Sidious commanded his apprentice Count Dooku through their secure holocommunication. This Naruto Uzumaki. Learn everything, his strengths, his weaknesses, his loyalties. As you wish, my master, Dooku's hologram replied. Shall I arrange for his elimination? Not yet. First, we observe. If he can be turned, he could serve our purposes. If not, Sidious's yellow eyes gleamed. Then he will be destroyed before he disrupts the grand plan. The hologram faded, leaving Sidious alone in the shadows. Across the Force, he could feel ripples of possibility, futures branching in directions he had not foreseen. This stranger from another reality was already changing things simply by existing. Change was dangerous, but it could also be exploited. And Darth Sidious had not orchestrated a 1,000-year plan, only to be deterred by one unpredictable ninja. The Republic assault cruiser Resolute hung in the void above Ryloth like a dagger pointed at the planet's heart. Naruto pressed his face against the viewport of the observation deck, watching the blue and green world rotate beneath them while smaller ships, Anakin had called them frigates and starfighters, moved in precise formations around the capital ship. 3 days aboard the cruiser had been an education in just how vast and strange this galaxy truly was. He'd learned that the Republic spanned thousands of star systems, that people traveled between worlds the way he'd once traveled between villages, that the Separatist Alliance wasn't just one enemy but a coalition of corporate powers, disillusioned systems, and a former Jedi named Count Dooku who commanded armies of droids, literal robots designed solely for war. He'd also learned that clone troopers weren't machines. They were men, identical brothers grown in labs and trained from birth to fight. The discovery had disturbed him deeply. "You okay, kid?" a voice asked from behind. Naruto turned to see Captain Rex, his armor painted with blue markings that designated him as part of the 501st Legion. The clone's face, the same face shared by millions of soldiers across the galaxy, showed genuine concern. "Just thinking," Naruto said, "about the clones, about how you're all treated like equipment instead of people." Rex's expression tightened. "We're soldiers, it's what we were made for." "That doesn't make it right," Naruto said quietly. "Back home, I was treated like a weapon too, a container for the Nine-Tails, something to be feared and used. It took years before people saw me as Naruto instead of just the fox boy. You deserve better than that." The clone captain studied him for a long moment. "General Skywalker says the same thing, treats us like brothers, not expendable assets." Rex paused. "You're not like most Jedi, are you?" "I'm not a Jedi at all," Naruto grinned. "Just a ninja who's really, really far from home." The ship's intercom crackled to life. "All personnel to battle stations. We're beginning the assault in 30 minutes. Commander Uzumaki, report to the bridge." "Commander," Naruto blinked. "Since when am I a commander?" "Since General Skywalker insisted the council give you a rank," Rex said with a slight smile. "Said you'd be leading men into combat and deserved the authority to make tactical decisions. Come on, the briefing's about to start." The bridge of the Resolute hummed with controlled chaos. Clone officers manned stations displaying tactical data while Anakin and Obi-Wan stood before a holographic projection of Ryloth. The planet's capital city, Lesu, glowed red, occupied territory. Surrounding it, defensive positions marked in blue showed the Separatist droid army's deployment. "The plan is straightforward," Obi-Wan explained as Naruto joined them. "Anakin will lead the starfighter assault to break their blockade. Once we've secured orbital superiority, I'll take the main ground force to liberate Lesu. The Twi'lek resistance has been coordinating with us. They'll support our advance from within the city." "And me?" Naruto asked. Anakin pointed to a secondary target, a weapons depot 20 kilometers outside the capital. "Separatist intelligence suggests they're storing experimental weapons there, probably planning to use them on the civilian population if we attack. Your job is to infiltrate the depot with a small team, disable the weapons, and extract before the main assault begins." "Infiltration," Naruto's grin widened. "Now you're speaking my language. Stealth missions were my specialty back in the Leaf Village." "We'll be sending you with Commander Ahsoka," Obi-Wan added as a young Togruta, barely older than Naruto himself, stepped forward. Her blue and white skin markings gave her an exotic appearance, and her orange face tentacles, montrals she'd called them, twitched slightly as she sized Naruto up. "Master Skywalker's told me about you," Ahsoka said, her voice carrying the confidence of youth tempered by combat experience. "The ninja from another dimension. Think you can keep up with a Jedi? Think you can keep up with 1,000 of me?" Naruto shot back, forming the hand seal for Shadow Clone Jutsu. 50 identical copies materialized on the bridge, making the clone officers jump in surprise. Ahsoka's eyes widened. "Okay, that's actually really impressive." "Gentlemen," Obi-Wan said with strained patience, as the Naruto clones began examining bridge equipment with fascinated curiosity, "perhaps save the demonstrations for the actual mission." Naruto sheepishly dispelled the clones. "Right, sorry, got carried away." The tactical discussion continued for another hour, detailing approach vectors, communication protocols, and contingency plans. Naruto absorbed it all, comparing it mentally to the mission briefings he'd received from Kakashi and Tsunade. The scale was different, planets instead of villages, thousands of soldiers instead of four-man squads, but the fundamental principles remained the same. Gather intelligence, strike the objective, minimize casualties, complete the mission. As the briefing concluded, Admiral Yularen approached Naruto privately. "Commander, I should warn you, the Separatists have been known to use biological weapons. If you encounter anything unusual in that depot, don't engage. Call for immediate extraction." "Biological weapons," Naruto's expression darkened. "You mean like poison gas, things that kill civilians?" "Precisely. The Separatist leadership doesn't concern itself with collateral damage." Yularen's voice carried bitter experience. "They view organic life as inferior to their droid armies." Kurama stirred in Naruto's mind. "I don't like this, kid. These Separatists sound like the kind of people who'd use a tailed beast as a weapon without caring who gets hurt." "Yeah," Naruto agreed silently. "Just like Danzo, just like the old ways." Aloud he said, "I'll be careful, Admiral, but if there are weapons that could hurt innocent people, I'm destroying them. That's non-negotiable." Yularen smiled grimly. "I'd expect nothing less. Good hunting, Commander." The LAAT gunship dropped through Ryloth's atmosphere like a stone, its engine screaming as it evaded anti-aircraft fire. Naruto gripped the handholds, his stomach lurching with each evasive maneuver. Across from him, Ahsoka sat calmly, meditating despite the chaos. 5 clone troopers, Boomer, Red-Eye, Lucky, Hardcase, and Edge, checked their weapons with practiced efficiency. 30 seconds to drop zone, the pilot called back. Naruto reached for Kurama's chakra, feeling the familiar warmth flood through his system. His senses sharpened, the world slowing slightly as the Nine-Tails power enhanced his perception. Better. His chakra had been adapting to this galaxy over the past 3 days, the initial sluggishness fading as his body adjusted to the omnipresent force energy. The gunship's side doors slid open, revealing the nighttime landscape of Ryloth rushing past below. In the distance, the weapons depot glowed with harsh artificial lights, a fortified compound surrounded by walls, guard towers, and patrolling battle droids. "Go, go, go!" Ahsoka leaped from the gunship, using the force to cushion her landing. The clones followed with jetpack-assisted descents. Naruto simply jumped, channeling chakra to his feet as he hit the ground and rolled, dispersing the impact. They'd landed in a rocky canyon 2 kilometers from the target. Perfect cover. "All right," Ahsoka said, igniting her green lightsaber to provide light as they huddled together. "The depot has 3 entry points: main gate, loading dock, and a ventilation system on the east wall. Droid patrols rotate every 15 minutes. We've got a narrow window." "I can get us inside without being seen," Naruto said. He formed the hand seals and created 5 shadow clones. "These guys will scout the perimeter, find the best route. When they learn something, I'll know it instantly." The clones scattered, moving with shinobi stealth that impressed even the clone troopers. Ahsoka watched them go with fascination. "That jutsu of yours is incredibly useful. No wonder you were a good infiltration specialist." It's got limits, Naruto admitted. Each clone takes a portion of my chakra, make too many and I'm exhausted. Plus, when they dispel, I get all their memories at once. Too much information hits like a hammer. Still better than going in blind, Boomer commented, checking his DC-15 blaster rifle. Minutes later, the scout clones dispersed one by one. Naruto winced as their accumulated knowledge flooded his brain. Patrol patterns, weak points in the wall, guard rotations, and most importantly, the location of what appeared to be a central control room. East wall, Naruto reported. The ventilation shaft is big enough for us to crawl through, leads directly to the lower levels, but there's a problem. The central chamber is filled with containment tanks, dozens of them. Whatever they're storing, it's in liquid form. Ahsoka's expression grew serious. Biological agents, the Admiral was right to warn us. Then we destroy them, Hardcase said flatly. Can't let the Seps use that stuff on civilians. Destroying them might release the toxins, Edge countered. Could contaminate the whole region. Naruto closed his eyes, recalling the scout clones' memories more carefully. There's a control panel. Looks like they can be safely neutralized, deactivated chemically or something, if we can access that system. I can slice into separatist systems, Ahsoka said, but I'll need time, and we'll need to deal with the droid garrison. Leave the droids to me, Naruto said, his voice taking on the confident tone that had carried him through countless battles. I've got a plan, but you're not gonna like it. Ahsoka raised an eyebrow. Why won't I like it? Naruto's grin was pure mischief. Because it involves me creating about 200 clones and starting a very loud distraction. The separatist battle droids guarding the weapons depot had been manufactured for one purpose: follow orders and destroy Republic forces. They possessed no imagination, no capacity for creative problem-solving, and absolutely no preparation for what happened when 200 identical orange-clad ninjas suddenly appeared from nowhere and swarmed the compound like a hyperactive invasion force. Roger, Roger, we're under attack, a B-1 droid stammered as 3 Naruto clones tackled it to the ground. How many are there? Another droid shouted. I count a lot. That's not a number. The depot erupted into chaos. Naruto clones scaled walls, detonated smoke bombs that filled the compound with choking clouds, engaged droids in hand-to-hand combat with spinning kicks and Rasengan-empowered strikes that sent metal bodies flying. It was absolute pandemonium, and exactly as planned. While the droid garrison scrambled to respond to the attack, Ahsoka, the 5 clone troopers, and the original Naruto slipped through the ventilation shaft unnoticed. Inside, the depot was a nightmare of industrial machinery and clinical sterility. The central chamber stretched 3 stories high, dominated by massive cylindrical tanks filled with viscous green liquid. Each tank bore separatist markings and warning labels in multiple languages. By the Force, Ahsoka whispered, there must be enough toxin here to wipe out every living thing on Ryloth. Then let's make sure that never happens, Naruto said grimly. He could feel Kurama's disgust radiating through their shared consciousness. The Nine-Tails had seen weapons of mass destruction before, had been one, in the eyes of many, and hated them with a passion. They moved quickly, Ahsoka and Edge working to access the control terminal while the others kept watch. Outside, the sounds of battle continued as Naruto's clone army kept the droids occupied. He could feel his chakra reserves depleting steadily. Maintaining this many clones was taxing even for him, but he gritted his teeth and held the jutsu. I'm in, Ahsoka announced. The system has a neutralization protocol. It'll take 5 minutes to cycle through all the tanks. Do it, Naruto ordered. The terminal beeped acknowledgement, and the tanks began to hum as their contents were chemically altered, rendered inert. But then alarms blared throughout the facility. They've detected the sabotage, Red Eye shouted. We've got incoming. Doors burst open and super battle droids, larger, more heavily armed versions of the standard models, poured into the chamber. Their wrist-mounted blasters opened fire, crimson bolts screaming across the space. Naruto dispelled his external clone army, reclaiming their chakra in one massive surge. The rush of returned energy and memory staggered him, but he channeled it all into a single technique. His hands formed the familiar seals, chakra spiraling around him in visible currents. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. 50 clones materialized inside the chamber, each one immediately engaging the super battle droids. The clones fought with coordinated precision, covering each other, using the environment, pipes, catwalks, and machinery as weapons and shields. Several formed Rasengans and charged the droids head-on, the spiraling chakra spheres tearing through metal armor like paper. "Covering fire," Boomer shouted, and the clone troopers added their blasters to the chaos. Ahsoka moved like water through the battlefield, her lightsaber deflecting blaster bolts with impossible precision, cutting through droids with elegant strikes. Naruto fought alongside her, his taijutsu enhanced by Kurama's chakra, each punch and kick carrying enough force to dent metal. 2 minutes left on the neutralization, Edge called from the terminal. A destroyer droid rolled into the chamber, its shields activating as it unfolded into firing position. The massive droid's twin blasters could shred through their cover in seconds. "I've got it!" Naruto created a massive Rasengan, larger than any he'd used so far, pouring Kurama's chakra into the technique until it blazed like a miniature sun. He charged the destroyer droid, the Rasengan drilling through its shields, then its armor, then the droid itself. The machine exploded in a shower of sparks and shrapnel. But the exertion cost him. Naruto stumbled, his chakra reserves dipping dangerously low. He'd been fighting at full capacity for too long in this strange galaxy, and his body was finally hitting its limits. "Naruto," Ahsoka caught him as he swayed. "Are you okay?" "Fine," he gasped. "Just need a second." "How long?" 30 seconds. The remaining droids pressed their attack, forcing Ahsoka to defend both herself and Naruto. The clone troopers formed a defensive perimeter, their training and discipline holding the line even as their numbers were whittled down by superior droid firepower. Then, from deep within Naruto's subconscious, Kurama surged forward. "Kid, you're running on empty. Let me help." Golden chakra exploded outward from Naruto's body, forming a partial manifestation of the nine tails around him, translucent, fierce, radiating power that made the very air vibrate. It wasn't full Kurama mode, not yet, but it was enough. The chakra construct's tails lashed out, smashing through droids like toys. Its claws shredded metal. Its roar, audible even through the partial manifestation, shook the entire facility. Every droid in the chamber froze for one crucial second, their processors unable to comprehend what they were seeing. "Neutralization complete," Ed shouted. "Toxins are inert." "Then we're done here," Naruto said, his voice carrying a deeper resonance with Kurama's power flowing through him. "Everyone out, now." They ran for the ventilation shaft as Naruto's remaining clones covered their retreat. The golden chakra construct collapsed as Naruto released Kurama's power, exhaustion finally catching up with him. Ahsoka practically carried him through the shaft while the clone troopers provided covering fire. Behind them, secondary explosions began as the facility's power systems overloaded from the damage. By the time they reached the extraction point, the depot was a raging inferno, its weapons destroyed, its threat eliminated. The LAAT gunship swept in for pickup, and they scrambled aboard. As the ship climbed toward orbit, Naruto looked back at the burning facility and felt Kurama's satisfaction mirroring his own. "Mission accomplished," Ahsoka reported into her comlink. "Depot destroyed, bioweapons neutralized, no casualties." "Excellent work, Snips," Anakin's voice crackled back. "We've broken the blockade. Obi-Wan's forces are moving on Lesu now. Get back to the Resolute, you've earned some rest. Naruto slumped against the gunship's wall, every muscle aching. The clone troopers were battered but triumphant. Ahsoka sat beside him, her lightsaber still humming softly before she deactivated it. "That thing you did at the end," she said quietly. "That golden energy construct, that was the beast inside you, wasn't it?" "Kurama," Naruto confirmed. "He saved our butts back there." "He's powerful, dangerous." Ahsoka met his eyes. "But you control him, trust him. I could feel it, not through the Force but just watching you work together. That's not possession, that's partnership." Naruto smiled tiredly. "Took us a long time to get there, but yeah, partners." As the gunship docked with the Resolute, Naruto's last thought before exhaustion claimed him was simple. He'd fought alongside these people, bled alongside them, protected innocents from weapons designed to inflict mass suffering. Maybe he didn't fully understand this galaxy's war yet. Maybe the politics were more complicated than good versus evil. But he understood protecting people, and that, at least, was a start. The liberation of Ryloth took 3 days of brutal urban combat. Naruto fought alongside the clone troopers through the winding streets of Lesu, watching men with identical faces display unique courage, sacrifice, and humanity that made his chest ache. He watched Obi-Wan negotiate with the Twi'lek resistance leader, Cam Syndulla, demonstrating the diplomacy that War II often crushed beneath its boots. He watched Anakin lead starfighter squadrons with reckless brilliance, turning impossible odds into narrow victories. And he watched the aftermath, the freed slaves, the reunited families, the Twi'lek children who looked at him with wonder and gratitude that reminded him painfully of home. But he also saw the Republic's priorities shift the moment victory was secured. Supply lines established, strategic positions fortified, resources allocated. The Twi'leks had been liberated, yes, but already the Republic was treating their world as another chess piece on a galactic board. Naruto stood on a balcony overlooking Lesu's central plaza, watching clone troopers patrol streets that had been filled with celebrating civilians just hours ago. The sun was setting over Ryloth's distinctive landscape, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple that reminded him of his jumpsuit. "Credits for your thoughts," Anakin's voice came from behind. The Jedi Knight joined him at the railing, his face showing the exhaustion of 3 days commanding a battle group. "Just thinking about what happens next," Naruto said. "We freed these people, that's good, but now what? Do we just leave them with a garrison and move on to the next battle?" "That's war," Anakin said, though his tone suggested he didn't entirely like it either. "We're spread too thin to do more. There are a dozen other systems under separatist occupation, another dozen under attack. We save who we can when we can." "That doesn't sit right with me," Naruto admitted. "Back home, when we protected a village, we stayed until we knew they'd be safe. We built relationships, trust." He paused. "This feels like we're just trading one occupation for another, even if ours is gentler." Anakin's expression darkened. "You sound like the separatists. They claim the Republic is imperialistic, that we force our laws on sovereign systems." "Maybe they have a point," Naruto said carefully. "I'm not saying the droids and slavery are better, they're definitely not. But from what I've seen, this war isn't as simple as good guys versus bad guys. Both sides think they're right. Both sides are hurting innocent people." "The separatists started this war," Anakin shot back, his voice carrying an edge. "Count Dooku and his corporate allies. They're the ones who chose violence over negotiation." "Did they, or did the Republic's corruption push them to it?" Naruto met Anakin's eyes. "I've been talking to the clone troopers, reading the historical files in the Resolute's database. The separatists have legitimate grievances: taxation without representation, trade federation exploitation, and Senate corruption. Yeah, their methods are terrible, but their reasons aren't completely wrong." For a moment Anakin looked ready to argue, Then his shoulders sagged. You're right, about some of it anyway. The Republic isn't perfect. The Senate is paralyzed by politics and bureaucracy. Chancellor Palpatine does his best, but even he can't fix everything. He turned to face Naruto fully. But what's the alternative? Let the Separatists win. Let the galaxy fracture into corporate fiefdoms and petty kingdoms. At least the Republic stands for democracy, for law. I don't have an answer, Naruto admitted. In my world, we had endless cycles of war. Villages fought villages. Nations fought nations. Everyone thought they were protecting themselves, avenging past wrongs, defending their way of life. And everyone was right from their perspective. He clenched his fist. It took someone willing to talk to both sides, to understand both sides, to finally break the cycle. Someone who refused to give up on the idea that enemies could become friends. That someone being you, Anakin asked with a slight smile. A lot of other people who were tired of the hatred, Naruto said. But yeah, I tried. And it worked mostly. Not perfectly, but better than endless war. Before Anakin could respond, Ahsoka's voice crackled over their comlinks. Master Naruto, you need to get to the command center. Now, we've got a situation. They found Obi-Wan in the hastily established command post, his face grim as he studied a holographic display. Admiral Yularen stood beside him, looking equally troubled. Cam Syndulla, the Twi'lek resistance leader, was present as well, his expression one of barely controlled fury. What's wrong? Anakin asked. The Separatists have sent an envoy, Obi-Wan said. Under a flag of truce, they're requesting a meeting. A trick, Yularen said flatly. They want to scout our defenses or assassinate our leadership. Perhaps, Obi-Wan allowed. But they've also transmitted intelligence regarding a Republic black site operation in the Outer Rim. Classified information that could prove embarrassing if made public. Blackmail, Anakin growled. Negotiation, Cam Syndulla corrected, his accent thick with Ryloth's native inflection. Something the Republic claims to value but rarely practices. Who's the envoy? Naruto asked. Obi-Wan's expression grew even more serious. Count Dooku himself. The name hung in the air like a death sentence. Naruto had learned about Dooku during his time aboard the Resolute, a former Jedi Master who'd left the Order, grown disillusioned with the Republic, and now led the Separatist alliance. A master lightsaber duelist, a brilliant tactician, and according to whispered rumors that Anakin refused to confirm, possibly a Sith Lord. Let me talk to him, Naruto said suddenly. Every head in the room turned to stare at him. Absolutely not, Obi-Wan said. Dooku is extremely dangerous. He's killed Jedi Masters, orchestrated massacres. And he might actually listen to someone who isn't already his enemy, Naruto interrupted. Look, you guys have history with him, bad history. Anything you say he'll dismiss. But me, I'm new, unknown. I don't have a stake in your generations-old conflicts. He looked at each of them in turn. Let me try to understand his side. Maybe I can find common ground. Or maybe he'll kill you, Anakin said bluntly. Dooku doesn't do common ground. He does manipulation and violence. Then I'll be ready for violence, Naruto said. But at least I'll have tried peace first. Isn't that what the Jedi are supposed to be about? Negotiation before conflict. Obi-Wan and Anakin exchanged long looks. Having one of those silent conversations Naruto had learned meant they were communicating through the Force. Finally, Obi-Wan sighed. Very well, but you won't meet him alone. Anakin and I will be present. And at the first sign of treachery, you'll jump in and save me, Naruto finished with a grin. Got it. When's this meeting? 1 hour, Admiral Yularen said. In the Southern District, a neutral structure that hasn't seen fighting. We're sweeping it for explosives and traps now. Naruto nodded. Then I've got 1 hour to figure out what to say to a Sith Lord who thinks he's saving the galaxy by conquering it. Kurama's voice rumbled in his mind. You do realize this is insane, right? You're volunteering to negotiate with someone who could probably kill you with his mind. Probably not as easily as he thinks, Naruto thought back. Besides, when has that ever stopped us? Fair point, kid, fair point. The meeting chamber was a circular room in what had once been a Twi'lek cultural center. Now it was scarred by blaster fire and debris, but still standing. Republic troops had secured the perimeter while clone snipers watched from elevated positions. The tension was thick enough to cut. Count Dooku arrived exactly on time, flanked by two Magna Guards, tall droids carrying electro-staffs that hummed with deadly energy. The Count himself was exactly as the holophiles had shown, elderly but vital, his white hair and beard immaculate, his curved lightsaber hilt hanging at his side like a statement of elegant violence. He wore robes of dark cloth that suggested wealth and authority. But it was his eyes that caught Naruto's attention. They held intelligence, certainty, and something else, disillusionment so deep it had curdled into contempt. Jedi, Dooku greeted Obi-Wan and Anakin with cold courtesy. Then his gaze shifted to Naruto, and genuine interest flickered across his aristocratic features. And you must be the anomaly, the stranger who fell from the sky wielding power that exists outside the Force itself. Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto said, meeting Dooku's gaze without flinching. And yeah, I'm the new guy, which means I don't have whatever baggage you have with these two. How refreshing, Dooku said with what might have been actual amusement. Someone who speaks plainly. The Jedi could learn from your example. He turned to Obi-Wan. I requested this meeting to propose a temporary ceasefire. Ryloth has suffered enough. Allow us to withdraw our remaining forces peacefully, and we'll provide intelligence on a Republic operation that violates several treaties you claim to uphold. We don't negotiate with terrorists, Anakin said sharply. Terrorists? Dooku's eyebrow arched. An interesting accusation from those who deploy a slave army of clones to enforce the Republic's will on sovereign systems. The clones aren't slaves, Obi-Wan countered. They serve the Republic by choice. Do they? Dooku's voice carried acid. They were created in laboratories designed to obey, trained from birth for war. What choice did they have? And more importantly, what choice will they have when this war ends and the Republic no longer needs them? He shook his head. You've become what you claim to fight against, an authoritarian regime that views sentient beings as tools. Naruto felt Kurama's growl of agreement in his mind. The Nine-Tails had been sealed into him without choice, used as a weapon, feared and hated. The parallel was uncomfortable. The clones are people, Naruto said firmly, drawing Dooku's attention back to him. I've fought beside them. They've got names, personalities, and hopes. Yeah, how they were created is messed up. But that doesn't make them slaves, it makes them victims of a system that treats life as a resource. Indeed, Dooku agreed. And who created that system, young Naruto? Who commissioned the clone army? Who benefits from this endless war? He gestured expansively. The Republic you defend is corrupt to its core, senators bought by corporations, a bureaucracy paralyzed by self-interest. A democracy that exists in name only while shadowy powers pull the strings. And your solution is to replace it with what? Naruto challenged. Corporate control, droid armies that can't question orders. From where I'm standing, you're just offering a different flavor of the same poison. Dooku's expression hardened. The Confederacy of Independent Systems represents freedom from Republic tyranny. We allow our member systems to govern themselves, to trade freely, to exist without being bled dry by Coruscant's taxation and regulation. You also use slavery, Naruto shot back. I saw it on Ryloth. Your droids were rounding up Twi'leks to sell to the Hutts. Don't talk to me about freedom when you're dealing in chains. For the first time, Dooku looked genuinely uncomfortable. The Zygerian slavers are an unfortunate alliance of necessity. Not all of our allies share our ideals. Convenient, Anakin said coldly. No more convenient than the Republic's alliance with systems that practice indentured servitude, or its blind eye toward corporate exploitation in the Outer Rim, Dooku countered. We all make compromises in war, Skywalker. The question is whether those compromises serve a greater good. Naruto studied the former Jedi Master, seeing pieces of a bigger puzzle. You really believe you're saving the galaxy, don't you? That tearing down the Republic is the right thing to do. I know it is, Dooku said with absolute conviction. I was a Jedi for decades. I served the Republic faithfully, and I watched it rot from within while the Council did nothing. The Jedi have become politicians' lapdogs, enforcers of a status quo that crushes the weak and enriches the powerful. Someone had to stand against it. By starting a war that's killed billions, Obi-Wan said quietly. A war the Republic started when it refused to let systems leave peacefully, Dooku corrected. We declared independence. The Republic responded with a clone army, who truly bears responsibility for the bloodshed. The words hung in the air, and Naruto felt the terrible weight of partial truth. Dooku was twisting facts, yes, but he wasn't entirely wrong. The Republic had problems. The Jedi had become entangled in politics, and this war was grinding people into dust on both sides. There's another way, Naruto said, his voice carrying the conviction that had convinced even Nagato to abandon his destructive path. Instead of tearing everything down, instead of fighting this war until one side bleeds out, what if you tried to fix the Republic from within? What if the Separatists and the Republic actually talked, really talked about reforms? Dooku smiled sadly. I tried that, young Naruto. For years I argued in the Senate for reform, for accountability, for change, and I was ignored, dismissed, branded a troublemaker. His eyes grew distant. The Republic cannot be reformed, it can only be replaced. That's where you're wrong, Naruto said fiercely. People can change. Systems can change. It's hard, yeah, it takes time, but giving up and burning everything down isn't strength, it's cowardice. It's the easy way out. Dooku's expression shifted, anger flickering beneath his composed exterior. You know nothing of what I've endured, of the corruption I've witnessed. You're a child playing at philosophy. Maybe, Naruto acknowledged, but I know that hatred and violence just create more hatred and violence. I've seen it, lived it, and I've also seen that cycle break when someone's brave enough to choose a different path. Enough, Dooku said, his voice cutting like a blade. I came here to offer terms, not to be lectured by an ignorant outsider. He turned to Obi-Wan. The ceasefire stands for 24 hours. After that, Ryloth becomes a battlefield again. Choose wisely. He turned to leave, his Magna Guards falling into step behind him. Count Dooku, Naruto called out. The man paused. You said you want to save the galaxy. I believe you, but you're being used. Someone's playing both sides of this war, keeping it going when it should have ended already. Can't you feel it? Dooku turned back slowly, his eyes narrowed. What do you mean? I mean this war is too convenient, too perfectly balanced. Neither side wins decisively. Neither side loses completely. It's like someone's orchestrating it to keep going. Naruto stepped closer. In my world, we had a group called the Akatsuki. They manipulated conflicts to destabilize nations, all as part of a larger plan. This feels the same. Doesn't that bother you? For just a moment, something flickered in Dooku's eyes. Doubt, recognition, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared, replaced by cold dismissal. Your theories are irrelevant, Dooku said. The war will end when the Republic falls, not before. He swept from the chamber, his guards following. When they were gone, Obi-Wan let out a long breath. That was educational. Educational, Anakin scoffed. He's a Sith Lord master. Everything he says is manipulation. Maybe, Naruto said quietly, but he also believes what he's saying, and some of it is true. That's what makes this so dangerous. He looked at the Jedi. Your Republic has problems, real problems, and people like Dooku are taking advantage of that. If you don't fix those problems, even if you win this war, you'll just face another one. Obi-Wan stroked his beard thoughtfully. You may be right, but reform during wartime is nearly impossible. The Chancellor has emergency powers. The Senate is focused on victory, not governance. Then someone needs to start thinking about what comes after, Naruto said. Because if you win this war without addressing why it started, you'll just be setting up the next one. As they left the chamber, Naruto felt Kurama's presence in his mind, thoughtful and troubled. Kid, that stuff you said about someone playing both sides, you really believe that? Yeah, Naruto thought back. I've seen this pattern before. Madara is manipulating the Akatsuki. Abido is manipulating Madara. Layers of deception all leading to one goal. He paused. Someone's pulling the strings here. I just don't know who yet. Then we'd better figure it out, Kurama rumbled, before it's too late. Unknown to Naruto, in a shadowed corner of Coruscant's Senate building, Darth Sidious watched footage of the meeting with cold satisfaction. The boy was perceptive, dangerously so. He'd come too close to the truth with his talk of manipulation and orchestration. And worse, he'd planted seeds of doubt in Dooku's mind, doubt that could compromise the Count's usefulness. Perhaps it was time to test this Naruto Uzumaki more directly, to see how he responded to real pressure, to determine whether he could be turned, or whether he needed to be eliminated. Sidious smiled in the darkness. Either way, the game was about to become far more interesting. The summons came 3 days after Ryloth. Naruto was in the Resolute's training room, practicing chakra control exercises to compensate for the lingering effects of the force-saturated environment, when Captain Rex appeared at the door. Commander Uzumaki, the clone said, his tone formal enough to signal trouble. You're wanted in the briefing room. Admiral's orders, it's classified. Naruto dispelled the chakra he'd been molding and followed Rex through the corridors. The ship felt different somehow, tension crackling through the air like static before a lightning strike. Clone troopers moved with purpose, capital P, the kind that meant something big was happening. The briefing room was packed. Anakin and Obi-Wan stood at the holographic projector. Admiral Yularen consulted with several Republic intelligence officers. Ahsoka leaned against the wall, her expression troubled. And standing in the center, transmitted via hologram from Coruscant, was a figure Naruto had only seen in recordings, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine. The elderly statesman had a grandfatherly appearance, weathered features, kind eyes, and a voice that carried warmth and authority in equal measure. But something about him made Naruto's instincts scream a warning. Kurama felt it too, stirring uneasily in their shared mindscape. Ah, Commander Uzumaki, Palpatine said, his hologram turning to face Naruto. I've heard remarkable things about you. A warrior from another reality, wielding powers beyond our understanding, yet choosing to fight for the Republic's cause. Truly inspiring. I'm not fighting for the Republic, Naruto said carefully, aware of every eye in the room on him. I'm fighting to protect innocent people. There's a difference. Palpatine's smile didn't waver. Of course, a noble distinction, which is precisely why I requested this meeting. He gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show a planet, red sands, harsh terrain, ringed by industrial facilities. This is Geonosis. The Separatists have rebuilt their droid foundries there, producing battle droids at an alarming rate. Intelligence suggests Count Dooku himself is overseeing the operation. We've been planning an assault for weeks, Admiral Yularen added. A full-scale invasion to cripple their production capacity. And you want me to help, Naruto said, already sensing where this was going. We want you to lead a specialized strike team, Obi-Wan corrected. Your unique abilities make you ideal for infiltration. While the main force engages the droid army, you would penetrate the primary foundry and disable it from within. Dooku will be there, Anakin added, his voice tight. This is our chance to end the war. If we capture or kill him, the Separatist leadership collapses. Naruto looked at each of them, reading the mix of hope, determination, and desperation in their faces. They were good people. He'd learned that over the past weeks. But they were also trapped in a war that was eating them alive, and they'd do almost anything to end it. "I met Dooku," Naruto said slowly. "Talk to him. He's not going to surrender, and killing him won't end the war. It'll just put someone else in charge, maybe someone worse." "Then what do you suggest?" Palpatine asked, his voice carrying just a hint of sharpness beneath the warmth. "Allow the Separatists to continue their atrocities unchallenged." "I suggest figuring out why this war keeps escalating instead of resolving," Naruto shot back. "Every battle you win, they bounce back stronger. Every system you liberate, they take two more. It's like someone's making sure neither side can actually win." The room went silent. Several officers exchanged uncomfortable glances. Obi-Wan's expression grew troubled. "You're suggesting a conspiracy," Palpatine said, his tone carefully neutral. "I'm suggesting something's wrong," Naruto said. "Where I come from, I learned that when a conflict seems designed to never end, it's because someone benefits from the fighting itself. Someone who wants both sides weakened, distracted, desperate." "An interesting theory," Palpatine said. "But without evidence, it remains merely speculation. And in the meantime, people continue to die. The Geonosis foundries will produce millions more battle droids. Those droids will kill millions more civilians." He leaned forward slightly. "Can you truly justify an action based on suspicion alone?" The words hit like a punch. Because Palpatine was right, people were dying. The Twi'leks he'd helped liberate, the clone troopers he'd fought beside, the countless civilians caught between two galactic powers. Could he really refuse to help them because of a gut feeling? "Kid," Kurama's voice rumbled in his mind, "something's off about that Chancellor. I can't put my tail on it, but my instincts are screaming." "Mine too," Naruto thought back. "But what if we're wrong? What if refusing to help gets people killed? And what if helping plays into something worse?" Naruto took a deep breath. "I'll go to Geonosis. I'll help disable the foundries, but I'm not assassinating Dooku. If I get the chance to talk to him again to try to find another way, I'm taking it." Palpatine's expression remained pleasant, but something flickered in his eyes, disappointment, calculation, before vanishing. "Your compassion does you credit, Commander, though I hope you'll reconsider when you see the horrors those foundries produce." The hologram faded, leaving the room in tense silence. "Naruto," Obi-Wan said carefully, "Count Dooku is beyond redemption. He's chosen his path. Trying to talk to him again will only get you killed." "Maybe," Naruto acknowledged, "but I've talked down people everyone said were beyond redemption. Pain, who destroyed my entire village, Abaido, who started a war, even Sasuke when he was drowning in hatred." He met Obi-Wan's eyes. "I have to try. It's who I am." Anakin stepped closer, his expression conflicted. "I get it, I do, but this is different. Dooku's had decades to change his mind. He won't." "Then I'll fail," Naruto said simply. "But I'll fail trying to save lives instead of take them. That's a failure I can live with." The assault on Geonosis began at dawn, or what passed for dawn on the perpetually red-skied world. Republic gunships descended through anti-aircraft fire, while ATE walkers marched across the barren wastes. Naruto rode in the lead LAAT with Anakin, Ahsoka, and an elite squad of clone troopers designated as Shadow Squadron. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. The main force would engage the separatist droid army in open combat, drawing their attention and resources. Meanwhile, Naruto's team would infiltrate the primary foundry through a series of underground catacombs, ancient Geonosian tunnels that predated the current structures. What the plan didn't account for was the sheer scale of the opposition. By the force, Ahsoka breathed as they crested a ridge and the foundry came into view. The facility stretched for kilometers, its towers belching smoke into the red sky. And surrounding it, like a metal tide, were hundreds of thousands of battle droids, maybe millions. "That's a lot of droids," Naruto said, understating drastically. "The main force will draw them away," Anakin said, though his voice carried doubt. "We just need to get inside." They dismounted from the gunship in a narrow canyon 2 kilometers from the foundry. Immediately, the ground began to shake, not from artillery, but from something underneath. The tunnel entrance Naruto's team was supposed to use suddenly collapsed, revealing a massive creature that was all wings, claws, and chitinous armor. "Genosian warrior drone," one of the clones shouted, opening fire. The creature shrieked and dove at them. Naruto formed the hand seals for Shadow Clone Jutsu, and nothing happened. His chakra stuttered, flickered, refused to manifest. Panic shot through him as he realized Kurama's presence felt distant, muffled, like trying to hear through water. "Something's wrong," Naruto gasped. "My chakra." "The foundry's generating an electromagnetic field," Ahsoka said, deflecting the creature's attack with her lightsaber. "It's interfering with all energy signatures. Even the force feels sluggish here." Anakin ignited his lightsaber and engaged the drone alongside Ahsoka. The clone troopers laid down covering fire, their training and discipline keeping them alive even as more drones emerged from the collapsed tunnel. Naruto tried again to access Kurama's chakra, reaching desperately for the Nine-Tails power. "Kid, can barely hear you." Kurama's voice came through fragmented, weak, something blocking connection. Then the connection severed entirely. For the first time since arriving in this galaxy, Naruto was alone in his own head. No Kurama, no Nine-Tails chakra, just his own reserves, already depleted from weeks of fighting in an alien universe, now face one of the most dangerous battlefields in the galaxy. "Fall back," Anakin ordered as the drones multiplied. "We need a new approach." They retreated to a defensive position among the canyon rocks. Naruto's hands shook as he tried again and again to access his chakra, finding it sluggish, unresponsive, wrong. This was worse than any power loss he'd anticipated. The electromagnetic interference wasn't just blocking his connection to Kurama, it was destabilizing his entire chakra network. "I can't fight like this," Naruto admitted, adding the words even as he spoke them. "Whatever that field is doing, it's shutting down my abilities." "Then we protect you until we can shut down the field," Anakin said firmly. "No one gets left behind." A massive explosion rocked the canyon as Republic artillery began pounding the foundry's outer defenses. Through the smoke and chaos, Naruto saw the main battle unfolding, clone troopers advancing under heavy fire, ATE walkers trading shots with separatist tanks, starfighters screaming overhead. It was carnage on a scale that made even the Fourth Shinobi World War look small. And in the center of it all, a figure descended from the sky. Count Dooku landed atop a disabled walker, his red lightsaber igniting with a snap hiss that cut through the battlefield's roar. He moved through clone troopers like death personified, each strike precise and lethal. The force itself seemed to bend around him, deflecting blaster bolts, crushing vehicles, and breaking the Republic's advance. "He's slaughtering them," Ahsoka said, horror in her voice. Anakin's expression hardened into something cold and furious. "Stay here, protect the squad, I'm ending this." "Master, wait." But Anakin was already running toward Dooku, his blue lightsaber blazing. Naruto watched them clash, two Force users moving faster than his eyes could track, their lightsabers painting arcs of blue and red against the red sky. He felt utterly useless. Without Kurama's chakra, without his full abilities, he was just a regular shinobi in a war fought with technology and powers beyond his understanding. "No," he thought fiercely, "I've been in worse situations. I've fought without Kurama before. I just need to think." He turned to the remaining clone troopers. "That electromagnetic field, it's coming from the foundry, right? What if we destroy the generators?" "We'd need to get inside first," Shadow Squadron's leader, Commander Colt, said. "And with that field up, we can't call for air support or reinforcements." "Then we go in quietly," Naruto said, a plan forming. "No flashy jutsu, No force powers, just basic shinobi infiltration. He looked at Ahsoka. Can you sense where the generators are? Ahsoka closed her eyes, her montrals twitching as she reached out with the force. North side of the complex, underground level, but there are dozens of droids between here and there. Dozens I can handle, Naruto said. He might not have Kurama's chakra, but he still had his taijutsu training, his weapons, and his experience. Shadow Squadron, you're with me. Ahsoka, stay here and coordinate with the main force. Once we shut down that field, you'll be able to call in reinforcements. I should go with you, Ahsoka protested. Your master needs backup against Dooku, Naruto countered. And the clones need a commander who can actually use the Force. I've got this. He didn't wait for her agreement. Naruto led Shadow Squadron through the canyon's network of smaller passages, moving with the stealth that had made him one of the Leaf's best infiltration specialists. The electromagnetic field might have crippled his chakra, but it couldn't erase years of training. They encountered patrols, battle droids doing predictable sweeps. Naruto dispatched them with kunai throws and taijutsu combinations, his movements economical and lethal. The clone troopers provided covering fire when needed, their discipline and training compensating for their smaller numbers. The foundry's exterior was a nightmare of industrial architecture, furnaces, conveyor belts, and half-assembled droids moving along automated assembly lines. They slipped through maintenance corridors, avoiding the main thoroughfares where droid traffic was heaviest. Generator rooms ahead, Colt reported, checking his scanner. But there's a problem. Blast doors, 6 inches of durasteel. We don't have the firepower to breach them. Naruto studied the doors, then smiled. Don't need firepower, just need the right technique. He formed the hand seals slowly, carefully, forcing his disrupted chakra to cooperate and pressed his palm against the metal. Chakra scalpel. The technique he'd learned from medical ninjas allowed him to cut with surgical precision. It took concentration he barely had, but after several minutes of painstaking work, a section of the blast door fell inward with a heavy clang. They entered a massive chamber dominated by 3 cylindrical generators, each one humming with malevolent energy. Droids patrolled the perimeter, not battle droids, but maintenance units and a handful of destroyer droids in standby mode. Charges set on all 3 generators simultaneously, Naruto whispered. On my mark, we blow them and run. Questions? Just one, Colt said. How are we getting out? Naruto pointed to a ventilation shaft. Same way we came in, through the walls, he grinned. Trust me, I've escaped from worse. They moved with synchronized precision, each trooper placing thermal detonators at critical junctures on the generators. The destroyer droid's sensors began to ping. They'd been detected. Time was up. Blow it, Naruto shouted. The explosions tore through the generator room in a cascading chain reaction. The electromagnetic field collapsed instantly, and Naruto felt Kurama's presence slam back into his consciousness like a tidal wave. Kid, what the hell happened? 1 second you were there, the next. Later, Naruto gasped as the chamber filled with smoke and sparks. Right now we run. They scrambled through the ventilation shaft as the foundry's alarm system screamed. Behind them, secondary explosions began as the generator's destruction cascaded through connected systems. The entire facility was coming apart. They emerged on the foundry's exterior just as Anakin and Dooku's duel reached its crescendo. The 2 combatants stood atop a landing platform, lightsabers locked, the force crackling around them with visible energy. And then Dooku saw Naruto. The Count disengaged from Anakin with a force push that sent the Jedi flying, then turned his full attention to the ninja who disrupted his foundry. His eyes blazed with fury. You, Dooku snarled, you've destroyed months of work, billions of credits in manufacturing capacity. He raised his hand and Naruto felt the force grip him, invisible pressure crushing inward, lifting him off his feet. You should have stayed out of this war, boy. Naruto couldn't breathe. The force pressure was like being squeezed by a giant invisible fist. His vision blurred. Kurama roared in his mind, but even the Nine-Tails Chakra couldn't fight a power that existed outside their reality. Then Anakin was there, his lightsaber cutting through the air in a savage arc that forced Dooku to release Naruto and defend himself. The ninja dropped to the platform, gasping. "Naruto, get clear," Anakin shouted, his attacks driving Dooku backward. "This isn't your fight anymore." But Naruto, struggling to his feet, saw something in Dooku's eyes beyond the fury. He saw pain, desperation. A man who'd committed to a path because he genuinely believed it was the only way to save the galaxy, and now that path was crumbling around him. "Stop," Naruto shouted, pouring every ounce of conviction he had into his voice. "Both of you just stop. This doesn't have to end with someone dying." "He's killed Jedi," Anakin roared. "He's enslaved systems. There's no redemption for him." "There's always redemption," Naruto shot back. "Count Dooku, listen to me. You said you wanted to save the galaxy, that you wanted to end the Republic's corruption. Fine. Help us do it the right way, not through war, not through more death, through the truth." Dooku's lightsaber wavered slightly. "What truth?" "The truth about who's really pulling the strings," Naruto said, channeling Kurama's chakra now that he could access it again, letting the golden energy flow around him in a visible aura. "You feel it, don't you? The way this war's been orchestrated. The way every victory leads to nothing. Someone's playing both sides. Someone wants this war to continue." For just a moment, Dooku's expression shifted. Understanding flickered there, mixed with something that looked like fear. Then the platform exploded. A Republic artillery shell, aimed at the Foundry's central tower, struck the structure they were standing on. Naruto felt himself falling, saw Anakin grabbing for him with the Force, saw Dooku making a choice. The Count caught them both with the Force, cushioning their fall as the platform disintegrated. When the smoke cleared, they'd landed in the Foundry's lower courtyard. Clone troopers and battle droids surrounded them from all sides. Dooku stood, his lightsaber still ignited but pointed at the ground. "You're right," he said quietly. "About someone manipulating this war. I've suspected for some time, but I'm too deep now. Too many choices made, too much blood spilled." He looked at Naruto. "You have a gift for seeing truth, young ninja. I pray you use it to find the puppet master before it's too late." "Then help us," Naruto pleaded. "Tell us what you know." But Dooku was already moving, force jumping to where a separatist shuttle was landing. "I cannot. I've made my choices. I must live with them or die for them." He paused at the shuttle's entrance. "But I will tell you this. Look to those who benefit from chaos. Look to those who have gained power as the Republic has weakened. And trust no one, especially those who claim to serve democracy while accumulating authority." The shuttle lifted off, escaping through the smoke and destruction. Anakin made to pursue, but Obi-Wan's voice crackled over the comlink. "Anakin, Naruto, fall back. The Foundry's main reactor is going critical. We have minutes to evacuate." They ran with the clone troopers, fighting through droid remnants as the Foundry began its death throes. Gunships swooped in for extraction just as the reactor exploded, sending a mushroom cloud of fire and debris into Geonosis's red sky. Aboard the Resolute, Naruto stood in the observation deck, watching the planet shrink behind them. The battle had been won. The Foundry was destroyed, thousands of droids eliminated. But Dooku's words echoed in his mind. "Look to those who benefit from chaos." Obi-Wan joined him, his robes still scorched from the battle. "You did well today. Without you, we couldn't have disabled that electromagnetic field. Many lives were saved." "But Dooku escaped," Naruto said, "and we still don't know who's really behind this war." "Perhaps there is no mastermind," Obi-Wan suggested gently. "Perhaps war is simply chaos, and we're all trying to find patterns where none exist." Naruto shook his head. "No, there's a pattern, I can feel it. Someone's orchestrating this, someone patient enough to play a long game, smart enough to stay hidden, powerful enough to manipulate both sides. He turned to face Obi-Wan fully. And I think that someone is on Coruscant, close to the center of power. Obi-Wan's expression grew troubled. That's a serious accusation. It's a serious situation, Naruto countered. Master Obi-Wan, I've fought in wars before. I've seen manipulation and conspiracy up close. This has all the hallmarks. And if we don't figure out who's pulling the strings, this war will never end, no matter how many battles we win. The Jedi Master was silent for a long moment. Then he said, I will bring your concerns to the Council, though I suspect they'll be reluctant to investigate the Senate or the Chancellor's office. Then I'll investigate myself, Naruto said. Because someone needs to, and I'm an outsider, I don't have political ties or obligations. I can ask questions others can't. As Obi-Wan left to make his report, Naruto felt Kurama's presence settle more firmly in his mind. Kid, you're about to poke a Nexu's nest. You know that, right? Yeah, Naruto thought back, but when has that ever stopped us? Never, which is why we're still alive to make terrible decisions. A pause. I'm with you, kid, whatever happens next. I know, partner, I know. In the shadows of Coruscant, Darth Sidious watched reports of the Battle of Geonosis with cold calculation. The Foundry's loss was regrettable but acceptable. Dooku's survival was necessary. But this Naruto Uzumaki, this outsider who saw too much, questioned too persistently, inspired others to think beyond their programming. He was becoming more than an inconvenience. He was becoming a genuine threat. Lord Tyrannus, Sidious said into his secure hello communicator, addressing Count Dooku by his Sith name. The ninja suspects our design. He must be dealt with. He saved my life today, Dooku's hologram replied. Inadvertently perhaps, but he did. I find myself reluctant to kill him. Your reluctance is noted and irrelevant, Sidious said coldly. He threatens the grand plan. Eliminate him, or I will find someone who can. As you wish, my master, Dooku said, though something in his tone suggested reservation. When the transmission ended, Sidious smiled to himself. The pieces were moving exactly as planned. The Republic grew more authoritarian daily, granting him ever more emergency powers. The Jedi were spread thin across the galaxy, weakened and vulnerable. Order 66 awaited only his command. One inconvenient ninja wouldn't derail a plan 1,000 years in the making. But just in case, perhaps it was time to introduce a more permanent solution. Sidious reached out through the dark side, touching the mind of one who served him in secret, an operative who could move unseen even among Jedi. Prepare yourself, he whispered across the void. You have a new target. Naruto Uzumaki had fallen into a galaxy at war, and in the weeks since his arrival, he had seen both the nobility and the corruption that defined this endless conflict. He had fought alongside heroes, confronted villains who believed themselves saviors, and witnessed a war that ground countless lives into dust while serving purposes he was only beginning to understand. His chakra had adapted to this strange universe, his connection to Kurama stabilizing despite the interference of the Force. He had earned the respect of clone troopers who saw him as a comrade rather than a commander, the trust of Jedi who recognized his commitment to protecting the innocent, and the attention of powers that lurked in shadows. But most importantly, he had planted seeds of doubt in Dooku's mind about who truly controlled the separatist cause, of questions in Obi-Wan's thoughts about political conspiracies, of hope among those who fought that perhaps this war could end without one side utterly destroying the other. The Battle of Geonosis had been won, but the war itself continued. And now Naruto knew what he had to do: uncover the truth behind the conflict, expose whoever was manipulating both Republic and Separatists, and somehow find a way to break the cycle of hatred that threatened to consume an entire galaxy. It was impossible, Insane. Exactly the kind of challenge that Naruto Uzumaki had never backed down from in his life. Somewhere in the vastness of space, on a world he'd never heard of until weeks ago, a ninja from the Hidden Leaf Village prepared to take on the machinations of a Sith Lord who'd spent decades preparing the galaxy's downfall. The odds were astronomical. The enemy was entrenched and powerful. The conspiracy ran deeper than anyone suspected. But Naruto had faced impossible odds before, and he'd never given up on anything in his life. He wasn't about to start now. The galaxy had been warned. Naruto Uzumaki was here, and he was going to change everything.